friends, it's Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video, we are going to be setting up my sinking fund tracker for May. I have already filmed a video where I set up my monthly calendar here in my Franken planner. I also, in that video, set up my dashboard page here. These are pages from an Erin Condren monthly planner that I uncoiled and put here in my disc bound system, which is a Happy Planner disc bound system. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this all set up using stickers I created for myself, you're going to want to go back and check out that video. But for today, we're going to be using this page here, and we're going to be setting up my sinking fund tracker. So here in the back of my planner, I have the stickers I created for myself. I just used Silhouette Portrait to make these stickers. So you can't get your hands on these exact stickers, but they have tons of planner stickers available on Etsy if you're interested in doing a setup similar to this. So I have my planner here. I have my stickers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this header that I created for myself, and I'm just going to stick it down on this page and get this page set up, and then we are going to go into my accordion folder where I keep all of my sinking funds, and we're going to count them all up and see what I have going on for the start of May. So I'm going to just lay the sticker down quickly. And of course I laid it down crooked because I would not be me if I didn't lay it down crooked. Luckily, I print my stickers that I make for myself on removable matte paper. I've gotten some questions about what sticker paper I use. I use the removable matte paper from onlinelabels.com. I can link it in the description box below for anyone interested in making your own stickers. It's a pretty good quality paper, and it's pretty affordable in terms of sticker paper, so I do recommend it. Alright, there we go. And now I'm going to lay down this header that I made as well. It just says sinking funds. Across the top. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my sinking funds folder, pull out each of my funds one at a time, count them up, and write that down on this page. So I keep all of my sinking funds in cash in this accordion folder here. Each of my funds has its own tab, and behind that tab I have the fund as well as a little index card keeping track of the kind of the comings and goings of each account. So I'm going to set this up off to the side here, and we are just going to go through these one at a time and get things written in. So you are going to find that a lot of my funds are empty or seriously low. I need to really focus on adding money to my sinking funds in May. I'm actually going to be taking a break from my debt snowball and focusing more on sinking funds because I have seriously let a lot of these go. So the first one I have is Amazon Prime. So I'm going to get that written in here. I'm just going to write the fund. And my starting balance, which is 0. There's nothing in my Amazon Prime sinking fund right now. We don't have to worry about paying our Amazon Prime membership again until early next year, so it's not something we're focusing on currently. Next up, I have Anniversary. And our anniversary fund is another one that is completely empty. We celebrated our anniversary at the end of March, and that's not something we are focusing on at the moment either. I don't add money to all of my sinking funds every single week, just because we have so many funds and it wouldn't be feasible really to do that. We don't earn enough money to add money to every single sinking fund every single week. So I just pick and choose the sinking funds that are kind of most important or the most pressing, and I add money to those. Next up we have birthdays. And my birthdays fund is also empty. We don't celebrate a birthday until November. My birthday's in November. So we have some time to add money to this fund. This birthdays fund is just for celebrating birthdays in my immediate family. So myself, my husband, and our 2 children. All right, next up, we finally have some cash to count. I have my campground sinking fund. And we are going to count this up and see what our starting balance is for May. So according to my index card here, where I keep track of everything, I should have $668. So we'll go ahead and write that down, and then we will count this up and make sure that that's what I have here. 150, 250, 350, 450, 550, 600, 650, 660, 65, 66, 67, 68. Okay, so the card is right. I always like to count my funds because sometimes I forget to update the card, or, you know, I'm human, I make mistakes, and I just want to make sure that my information that I'm writing down is accurate. So that's going to go back into my accordion folder. And we will pull out my next fund, which is car maintenance. All right. So my card here says that I should have $387. So let's just see. 100, 200, 300, 350, 370, 380, 85, 86, 87. So $387. That's accurate. All right, next up. We have Christmas. All right, and our Christmas fund, according to the card, should have $450 in it. This is, of course, our savings for Christmas for 2021, so we can do all of our Christmas shopping. And let's just get this counted up. So we have 100, 50, 200, 50, 300, 50, 70, 90, 400, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. So $450. Okay, so that takes care of Christmas. Next up, we have our clothing sinking fund. Oops, let me get this card put back in there. Our clothing sinking fund is currently empty. Again, we've been buying a ton of clothing lately, but we are pretty much all set for the time being, and we shouldn't need any new clothing pieces until probably fall. I think we're pretty good on summer and spring clothing, so hopefully we can get by without adding any money to this fund for a little bit longer because we have some other priorities. All right, next up we have my husband's sinking fund. And this is a sinking fund that we have for my husband for some equipment that he wants to buy. The card says we should have $70, and it's pretty easy to see that is what we have in here, so let me get that written in. It's definitely something we will be focusing on in May and adding money to. Alright, next up we have our gasoline sinking fund. So this is for extra gas money. I budget for gas money every week when I do my weekly budgets, but this sinking fund is for a situation where we go through all of our budgeted money for the week, but we still need gas. Maybe we're driving a ton that week, or we're going on a road trip, or whatever. Gas is a necessity, so I never want to be without it. So I like to have just kind of backup gas money, I guess. And that's what the sinking fund is for. So according to my card here, should have $300. So we'll go ahead and write that in, and then we'll count it up and make sure. So far, all of my cards have been accurate, which is good news. 50, 100, 50, 200, 20, 40, 60, 80, 300. All right. So that'll go back into my accordion folder. That's accurate. And next up we have haircuts. And our haircuts fund has $40 in it. And that is accurate. Good to go. I'm going to be shocked if every single one of my sinking fund cards is up to date and accurate. I usually find at least one where I've made a mistake. All right, holidays. So holidays is another one that we have no money in. This holiday sinking fund is for all of the holidays kind of outside of Christmas. So Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween, all of those get funded with this holidays fund, which is empty. So clearly this is something we need to focus on in May as well. And that's one of the reasons why I do this exercise at the start of every week. I go in, I count all my sinking funds, and I write it down. One, because it's super easy to just flip to this page and see how much money I have in a fund without having to go into my safe and pulling out my big folder here. But also because it helps me to see which funds are maybe running a little low, what I need to focus on in the new month. So clearly I have some funds to focus on here. All right, next up we have our household sinking fund, and this is another one that is completely empty. And this is really important because I actually, this past week, had to go and buy household items, and I didn't have anything in my sinking fund, so that put us over budget for the week. So this is something I definitely need to focus on. We just got a little behind in funding our sinking funds because we were focused so hard on getting our credit card paid off, the card we're currently working on, which is a Lowe's card. And I just kind of put blinders on and was focused on putting every extra dime towards that card. And our sinking funds definitely suffered because of that. So we are switching gears in May and focusing less on paying off debt and more on these sinking funds so we can get them back up to snuff. Okay, so next up we have home insurance. And according to this, we should have $700, which I believe means that this fund is fully funded for when we have to pay this bill, which I think happens next month. So let me just go ahead and count that and make sure that that's accurate. 100, 200, 300, 400. Oops, let's not get crazy here. So we had 100, 200, 300. Oh, it's out of order here. 400, 20, 40, 60, 80, 500, 20, 40, 60, 80, 600, 20, 40, 60, 80, 700. Okay, so we are good to go for home insurance. Next up is my husband's hunting sinking fund, which is empty, but hunting season is not until October, so this is not something we need to worry about in May, just something we need to keep in mind for when we get closer to hunting season. Okay, pets is our next fund, and this is another one we need to be focusing on in May because it's pretty darn low. We have just $10 in there, and that is not enough for pet food or pet litter, let alone like vet visits and whatnot. We're all stocked up on pet food right now and litter, but I definitely want to bulk this fund up in case we have a pet emergency, we need to go to the vet, that sort of thing. So this is going to go back into our folder here behind pets. Next up we have P.O. Box, which is empty. I just paid my annual fee for my P.O. Box, so I completely emptied this out. And it's not something I have to worry about again until, I believe, April of 2022. So we got plenty of time to fund this guy. So that's not something we will focus really heavily on, or at all really, in May. Next up we have our property tax envelope here. And this says we should have $40. So 20, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, that's accurate. Next up we have is my Switch envelope here. So, oops, I forgot to write down property tax. What did I say was in there? $40. Okay. Alright, next up we have my Switch. This is a little fund that I have for buying Nintendo Switch games. It currently has $58 in it. I've been kind of holding on to this. I think I'm going to buy the newest Zelda release in, is it June that it comes out? They're coming out with a Nintendo Switch copy of Skyward Sword, which is a game that originally released on the Wii, I think. So I'm pretty excited about that, so I'm just going to most likely be holding on to this money until then. I guess it's up for pre-order. I could pre-order it, but either way, $58. So let's count it up. 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. I am so excited that all of these cards are up to date and accurate. Means that I'm getting better about keeping track of everything. I was pretty lax with it for a while, but seems like we're getting back on track now. Alright, next up we have school expenses, which I just realized is out of alphabetical order. That's probably going to drive me crazy, but it is what it is. Alright, so for school expenses, we have nothing. I just used the last of this money in April to buy my son some spirit wear, so this is definitely something that I need to focus on in May. We won't have too many more expenses. The school year's kind of wrapping up. I believe our last day of school is June 16th, so we got about a month left. But I think we've pretty much paid for everything we need to pay for this year. Maybe not. I could totally be wrong about that, but either way, I want to add some more money to this fund in May, just in case something comes up, and then also just to kind of get a head start on the school year for next year. Austin will be going into 8th grade next year, so. And of course, my oldest son, Robert, is done with school, so we don't have to worry about that. He's not going back to school, so. Alright, next up we have vacation, which has $150 in it. This is essentially our money for our camping trips throughout the summer. And we've already gone through quite a bit of the money that we saved, so this is definitely something I'm going to want to add money to in May, because we are going to be doing a lot of camping coming up, and $150 is not going to go very far. So we have our camper that sits on a campsite that we pay for annually. That is taken care of with our campground sinking fund. So that doesn't come out of here, but any of our expenses while we're camping, any camping groceries, propane, anything we need for the camper, all comes out of this fund, as well as any kind of fun outings that we want to do while we're camping. So this is definitely something we need to be adding to in May. All right, and lastly, I have our YouTube taxes. So this is all of the money that I collect to pay taxes on my YouTube income. So I collect 30% of all of the income that I bring in from my YouTube videos. This is essentially 30% of all of the ad revenue. When you watch the ads at the start of or in the middle of my videos, I get paid a little tiny bit for that. And they don't collect taxes when they pay, so you have to collect it yourself, essentially. So this is 30% of all of the income I've earned so far in 2021, so that when we file our taxes next year, I'm prepared to pay those. So according to my card here, I should have $571. So let's just count this up. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 550, 560, 565, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. All right, so that means that all of my cards were accurate, you guys. I think that's a first. I usually find at least one mistake or one fund that I didn't update the card when I took money out. Did really, really good this time. So now I'm going to take this little strip here just to kind of act as a separator. I didn't make fancy stickers that said like total or a sticker to go across the top with like starting balance and ending balance and whatnot. It's not really necessary for me. So now what I'm going to do is pull in a calculator and add these up and get a total starting balance for my sinking funds for May. So I'm actually going to pull in the calculator here on my tablet just because I want an excuse to use it. And this is brand new for me. I just got this as a Mother's Day gift a little bit early from my husband and my kids. So I'm pretty excited about it. So we're going to use this as my calculator today. So we're going to add 668 plus 387 plus 450 plus 70 plus 300 plus 40 plus 700 plus 10 plus 40 plus 58 plus 150 plus 571 for a grand total of $3,444 in my sinking funds, which is pretty low. I don't think that I've had a total that low in quite a while. So definitely we need to be focusing on adding money to this fund, to a lot of these funds rather, in May. And I'm actually going to get myself a little sticky note and write down the funds that I'm specifically needing to focus on, the ones that are most important to be focusing on in May. So give me just a second to grab a sticky note and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have my little sticky note here and I'm just going to kind of go down the list and figure out which of these funds is sort of like the most pressing, the ones that I need to be focusing on in May. So Amazon Prime anniversary and birthdays, even though they're completely empty, none of those things are things that are going to need to be funded in May because these are not things that are due right away. All of these things are not due until like the first quarter of 2022. So we're not going to be focusing on those. Campground is something that we always need to be focusing on because it's got a high amount that we have to save. Our campground annual fee is due in October, but it's about $1,400. So we're not quite halfway there. Definitely need to continue to focus on campground. Car maintenance is also something we always want to be adding money to because you never know when you're going to need to maintain your car. Something could happen. You know, for sure oil changes and stuff are regular expenses, but we could need new tires. We could have, God forbid, some kind of catastrophic breakdown or something. So definitely want to continue to add to car maintenance. And Christmas is another one of those that we need to be constantly adding to because we want quite a large amount of money by the end of the year to go towards Christmas. I want to add a little bit to our clothing fund. Not a ton, but I don't want it to be completely empty. I'm just going to put a little asterisk here to know that I want to add something to it just so it's not entirely empty, but it's not something that I need to put a ton of money into. My husband's sinking fund is something we're going to focus on in May. Gasoline's pretty good. We probably could add a tiny bit to haircuts. Again, that'll get a little asterisk because it doesn't need a ton, but $40 isn't quite enough to pay for haircuts for my guys. Holidays is something we're going to focus on. We've got Father's Day coming up, so definitely want to focus on that. Also household. For household items and any household expenses. Home insurance is good. Hunting is not something we need to focus on right now because that's not until October. Pets, we're going to want to add some money to. P.O. Box is not something we need to worry about, nor property taxes. My Nintendo Switch fund is fine. School expenses is something I want to add a little bit to. Again, probably not a ton, but a little. Vacation we need to focus on. And of course YouTube I add to every month that I bring in any income. So those are the funds you are most likely going to see me focusing on when I write out my budgets every single week. The ones here that have asterisks are probably something I will just add to like 1 week out of the month. And these other ones you'll see multiple times throughout the month, so I can really focus on bringing that total up. But that is it for my video today. I hope that you enjoyed this. I urge you to take a look at your sinking funds and make sure you have a handle on how much you have in there and which funds you need to be focusing on in May. It's a good exercise to do like once a month. Count everything up, make sure all of your data is correct, and figure out what you're going to focus on in terms of your goals for a new month. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week, and I'd love to have you back. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!